Hi, it's Kirby Summers, and I welcome you to the Epstein Project podcast. You guys are amazing. You've done everything sort of with me. And so far now with the latest book, Ghislaine Maxwell, an unauthorized biography, it's book four of my Epstein series. So, for those of you who don't know, book one is Jeffrey Epstein, Predator Spy. Then there is book two, which I co-wrote with the amazing Bob Fitrakis, and that is Jeffrey Epstein Revealed. Bob Fitrakis and I each had sort of like an Ask Me Anything on Reddit. Bob's was amazingly brilliant, and that's sort of how he and I connected. I had read his work. He had been investigating Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Wexner during the 1990s, sort of way before anybody else knew about Jeffrey Epstein, and he had written a couple of articles. So he did an AMA on Reddit, but wouldn't you know that it was completely erased? Perhaps not surprisingly. In any event, I had reached out to Bob and we were talking about things, and he's really very involved in Ohio. He's an attorney, he's an investigator, and he also teaches. And he keeps an eye open on all things Epstein. At one point in the 1990s, when he was researching Jeffrey Epstein's life in as it pertains to Leslie Wexner, he received in the mail um, sort of like two letters, two handwritten letters. Each one said, Jeff Epstein equal toe tag. And so obviously he took that as a threat. It's not the only threat that researchers and investigative journalists have received while investigating anything Jeffrey Epstein and frankly anything Ghislaine Maxwell or Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or Prince Andrew. Um, so I digress. So book three then became Bonnie's Clyde. I fell in love with that title because I heard some of the victims call Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell the Bonnie's Clyde of, child trafficking and all of that. And I thought, wow. Um, and and you guys loved it. That book was so well received, and I got amazing responses. I mean, just it floored me. And so that motivated me to keep going. And then, I started working on the book on Ghislaine, which I just sent to the people who pre-ordered. I started sending it out a few days ago. I'm still going through my list. And initially, my book on Ghislaine, I was going to do a comprehensive book about her whole life. But the more I dug into her life, the more I realized that we really needed to cohesively, because we're working to help, not just at this point, it's become a much bigger thing because initially it was we're working to help Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's victims. Well, this has become a much broader platform. We are basically now working to end human trafficking, period. If you know anything about my life, I am a victim and a survivor of human trafficking. I was a sex slave to one of these powerful men in Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's circle. And it took a lot for me to transition out of that. But, I needed to always watch my back because you're still, as someone who is in that area with all these people who have unlimited power and who have, I can honestly tell you they blackmail powerful people. In my case, even the police were involved with getting me and retrieving me for my abuser, and for keeping an eye on me, and for not coming to my aid when I needed help. And so that you always have to look over your shoulder. There were three attempts on my life that I'm aware of. And everything I've tried to do, my abuser has made sure to sort of, keep me quiet. He's placed one thing in front of the other for like years. But it was only when I became involved in this case, in the Ghislaine and Jeffrey case, and then I started getting a really big following on Twitter, that you guys finally heard me. I've been trying to tell my story for a very long time. I think the very first piece, it's still online, it was from 2008, when I put something on the internet. Um, but anyway, we're here. And so the fourth book on Ghislaine Maxwell, when I started to kind of put it together, um, I realized there was so much information about her early life that is being sort of misquoted and misrepresented. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on the first 30 years of her life, because she meets Jeffrey Epstein a month before she becomes 30. That is pretty much when her father dies. And I kind of detail how they met. I know that Ari Ben Menashe, who is a former Mossad connected person, has been on talk shows with his version of how they met. And it boggles my mind that anyone would believe someone who has been connected with the Mossad to tell you the truth. So I dove in. I'm really good at digging. I've had to become really good at digging. That's one of the side benefits of having been harassed and interfered with. I needed to learn how to do a lot of things to make sure that I was safe. And this has served me well in my, in helping me write these books, and in keeping me safe. So, again, book one is Jeffrey Epstein, Predator Spy. Book two is Jeffrey Epstein Revealed, with Bob Fitrakis. Book three is Bonnie's Clyde, the true story of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And book four is Ghislaine Maxwell, an unauthorized biography. I do have another series. It's the Epstein Project series, and I have that divided into book one and book two. It's a collection of the essays that I send out to the people who are on my mailing list for my Epstein Project newsletter, which goes out every Tuesday. And so I've put together a collection of the best essays in those books. And I currently have them now. You just get one book, and you can get the second book at 50% off. And so if you get the two books, it's like, get one and then get the second at 50% off. Um, so the process of writing the book was complicated enough, right? I needed to do all this research, but now I have to publish it, and this will be my first book that I'm going to put on Amazon, and that I'm going to do, I'm going to do the whole thing. It's going to be on the Kindle platform, it'll be on the Paperbook platform, and I will also have it as an I think it's called Audible. Yeah, it's an audio book. The audio book will take me a little longer because I'm going to read it. And it takes a long time to read 300 plus pages of a book, but I'm going to do it, and it'll be up there. A lot of you have requested this. And so kind of I'm going to put that up first, and then slowly I'm going to add all my other books to Amazon. I'm also, by the way, because I want to keep you informed. I want to like always give you the behind the scenes of what's going on. I'm also I'm sort of like taking this leap. I've been afraid, and I'm going to just be honest with you because that's the only way to be. I've been really transparent with you guys. I've been afraid of putting anything on Amazon because all my abuser has done for like literally my whole professional life in real estate is to make sure I have bad reviews. But I'm taking this chance because it's now or never. So I'm just crossing the last frontier of my journey into being a real survivor. A real survivor is not afraid of anything. And so this last frontier is okay, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put my stuff on Amazon. Number one, it reaches a broader audience. Number two, many of you keep asking me for this. And three, why not? Like they're going to do what they're going to do. But by now, I think that you have experienced watching, let's say, Ghislaine Maxwell's siblings have a Twitter account where they're trying to spin Ghislaine Maxwell as being a nice person, which, like, hello, she's not. Um, Even her father was like, and it's a quote I use in my book. Her father said, "Oh, Ghislaine is the one who is most like me." Well, sh he was a crook and a thief and a liar and treated women horrifically and cheated from like almost the time he said I do until the time of his death. He was just not a good person. Tom Bauer, who is a writer I respect deeply, uh, wrote two biographies about him, and basically he said, no, the guy was a crook. He was a crook, and this is what he did, and so I kind of took inspiration from Tom Bauer's conviction that, yeah, no, and he was not a really nice person. And so when I dug in a little deeper than just the surface and dug in a little deeper than just the FBI records, which, by the way, you can't always count on because the FBI was being also blackmailed. So you have to like read the FBI files knowing that not everything you're reading is the actual truth. So you have to always just go a layer deeper. And that's what I've learned to do. You go deeper than other people. Other people would probably stop at the FBI files. No, I go a little bit deeper than that in order to get at the truth. So at this point, I am formatting the book. I'm teaching myself how to format it because I think I should know how to do this. So I'm formatting the book so that I can upload it to Amazon. It'll be again on Amazon, um, the regular one where you can order a book, and it'll be on Amazon Kindle. And then after that, I'll be working on getting Audible, the audio version of the book up there. And once I have that down, then I can focus on putting the other books up there. Now, I still have part two of my memoir to finish. I started it last year at around the time that of the when we had the pandemic. So March of last year, I'd started it, and then the more involved I became in writing Ghislaine's book and in researching her book, I sort of had to put it on hold because yeah, I can pretty much write two books at the same time because, you take a break and you go here, and when you're a little bit tired with this one, you go back and you can work on this one. But I decided that the Ghislaine book really, at some point, I realized it needed all of my attention. So I put the sequel of my Billionaire's Woman memoir, which is called Cinderella Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which, by the way, is a title that you guys love. And there are a lot of pre-orders for that book already. So once I get everything formatted and into Amazon, I'm going to be wrapping up um, the sequel to The Billionaire's Woman, which again is Cinderella, doesn't live here anymore. So, like, there's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff, right? I still have to respond to people who send me emails. Um, I still have to make sure everybody receives their book in a timely way. I have to make sure, there's a lot of stuff that people don't normally see. I have to also keep an eye on my Twitter account because the other people, the bad people, have been sending me tons and tons of followers who are fake, who are just porn sites, and who I have to keep kind of like block, 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 block. The reason they do that is so they can do two things. So they can artificially increase the number of my followers, and then when they want to begin to start attacking me, they can then unfollow me uh, in large numbers, which would then signal to people that don't know what's going on behind the scenes that that maybe I'm no longer relevant. They have done this, sadly, they have done this with Virginia Giuffre's account. She was at 130,000 followers, and I think her numbers are now down to, I think, below 90. And it's just a ploy. It's a psychological ploy. If you're not aware that this is what they're doing, it's meant to sort of deflate your sense of accomplishment. But thank goodness I've had the misfortune, and now, everything always has a silver lining in my world. But now, because I'm aware of all of these tricks that have been used against me for decades, I'm like, oh, I know what this is, and I can deal with it, and it does not deflate my sense of being able to get things accomplished. It does the reverse. It tells me, hey, you know what? I'm in the right direction. I'm over the mark. I'm doing it right. That's why this is happening. And it's sort of like, it's a pat on my, it's a pat on the back for me. And I keep going. So I just wanted to give you sort of like a look behind the scenes. I'm going to keep you posted as things develop because you truly have become part of my life, and I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So I will end this here. I don't want to make it too long. It's Kirby Summers for the Epstein Project podcast. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.